Welcome back
How?
to the show. Welcome back to the show.
We haven't started a show kind of weirdly cracking up in a long time, but you probably noticed that I am not in dress clothes today. I'm in my hoodie.
Her
Actually,
Power
more
of
the
Woman
hoodie is
hoodie.
just good. The hoodie, yeah,
So cool.
WNBA. The hoodie goes along. What you can't see off camera is sweatpants, which I've
Mm,
never not worn like actual pants taping. It feels weird to be in sweatpants taping this. Like I never wear. Even though I do eat telehealth, I always wear regular pants. I don't wear sweatpants when I see clients. I just can't, right? But
yeah.
this morning I was so bloated. Like everything felt tight, everything felt sluggish, everything just felt gross. And I know you and I have talked about that. And this isn't just to be clear for our listeners, it's not a body positivity thing we're talking about.
Mm-mm.
This is when you have something else going on and you wake up and that morning you almost can't stand your own skin because feels different, or your clothes don't feel right, or your brain is just hooked on this one sensation in your body. And you my wife and I'll joke and say, don't look at me, I'm hideous, like we're the line from Hunchback of Notre Dame. And if we say that, we know we're having one of those days, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, nothing but sort of love and validation with that, because and it got me thinking about interoception and a lot of stuff we've talked about in here. And notoriously neurodivergent folks aren't good at interoception, but what we haven't talked about is when you do yoke into something and your brain won't let go of it, right? Like I can feel every little bubble moving. I can tell when it's moving back and forth in my intestinal tract sometimes, and that sense of what do you do when that's going on? Like, how do you not want to leave the house? I mean, what does it feel like? What kinds of things do you do? And this morning I'm like, you know what? I am going to just wear sloppy clothes. Sloppy. So even the name is just sort of crappy. I'm going to wear
Yeah.
comfortable clothes and not wear something that I feel gross in. It's okay to do that, right? And so it just got me thinking more about not like a body shaming sort of thing, but just when you're really, it's like you can't stand being in your own skin. And for women, I think especially with hormones cycling up and down every month and so on, I think we get hit with it more than men necessarily do, right? Because it's constantly changing
Oh,
and
yeah.
moving around, and there isn't like a fast thing and you can do about it, right? Yeah.
I mean, and sometimes it's really, I mean, I don't know, it feels very out of your control.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah.
do a lot mind you, I don't feel I'm as disciplined as I I'm going to say all of these words in a row that I really try not to say with my own clients, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not as disciplined um as I should be. Yeah, so
See, like,
here's all
yeah,
the
yeah,
judgment,
yeah,
right? But
yeah, yeah.
how hard it is, like, even though I know that yeah, I feel all these changes in my body, that are really, I think, quite age related.
Hmm.
Um and yet I'm like, I could eat less of that, more of that, exercise more here. And it's just like, but I just don't have it in me to do it
Hmm. Hmm.
all,
Hmm.
you
Yeah, and
know?
for women approaching menopause, it's
Oh,
almost a universal experience, and it is out of your control. I mean, there's so many things
yeah.
that happen that it's hormone
Yeah.
driven. It's not that you're not trying hard enough or whatever it is. It's I think that that's a thing with anything body related. You almost can't do anything about it right away. I mean,
Yeah.
I sort of joke and say this is why we love doing things like popping zits, because it's like this immediate satisfaction. But something like if you're going through hormone changes or you've had an injury or whatever it is, it sort of is this slow progression away from that, right? And what can you do? And on a body positivity thing, like what are the messages? Like you use those words that were
Yeah.
We've talked about shitting all over yourself and some of those other words, like shaming yourself for feeling a certain way. And it's how do we find a place of comfort around that? So, it might be, I'm just going to wear loose clothing today. And it isn't like, to be clear, I'm not worried about what other people are going to think. I'm not really worried about what I'm looking like and that sort of thing. It sort of is like drawing my attention to an area of my body that already feels vulnerable by having something tight on it or that's rubbing on it. And so to me, this morning when I was thinking about it, there's much more of a sensory piece to it for
Mm-hmm.
me, that sense of
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and uh, you've probably done this too in your life as a woman. There's been times where I didn't go to class or didn't go to work way back when I was still cycling because I just couldn't I couldn't deal with having to feel that in my body all day. So I'd lay on
Yeah.
the couch and stretch out and just find a way to minimize it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
we had a button we could push, we'd just be pushing it all the time. But it makes me just think about that sensory piece around things that you can't easily control or that you have to wait for, right? Like even with my thumb thing, it's like it's feeling better now. I'm doing things. I have permission to take the splint off sometimes here and there. But a couple months ago in the middle of it all, it's a sense of it's just time has to take care of this. And it feels
Yeah.
so out of your control, right? So how do you find a way to get control, like wearing loose clothing, or you've had so many issues with hormone stuff, and it's
Yep.
just um, maddening in terms of that sense of locus of control. It just doesn't feel like you can do anything about it, right?
Yeah. And I mean, I think if we put this in the context, in the greater context of neurodivergence,
Hmm.
where so many neurodivergent people already feel very out of control or out of sorts in living in the
Yeah,
world for lots of
right.
reasons. And that's, and then you add the body piece, right?
Hmm.
Which we can call regulation, if you will. But the sensory pieces can be so pronounced that,
Yeah,
the only thing to do sometimes is to avoid certain environments, and that could be like
hmm,
environments out of your home, like period. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah,
and then I also have seen this just coming out of COVID that for so many of my clients, they were like, oh my gosh, everyone's sheltering in place. Hallelujah. Like there's no expectation for me to be out and
right,
about.
right,
Yay. But then, it's like we come back into the world opens back up, and they've lost this, I'm just going to use
yeah,
the word endurance
yeah, yeah, yeah,
to be out in the world, right?
yeah, yeah,
So I,
yeah.
I feel like there's all of these pieces of burden,
Mm.
um, of how do I regulate myself? How do I find comfort in my own skin? And,
Yeah.
and that feels like that can be a constant variable
Right. Yeah.
that
Yeah.
really sucks the bandwidth out of people.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Because you're just thinking about it or feeling it all the time, I guess I should say. And you're right that
Yeah.
from a neurodivergent perspective, with other things going on at the same time, and obviously living in this country, there's just an insane amount of things happening right now.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. That we would joke about. Oh, and now I have to wear we call them not tight pants. What does she call them? Hard pants. When people went back after the went
My
back
God,
after
I
the
hate hard pants. I
we
I
called
hate
it
hard. I'm gonna
hard
call them hard
pants.
pants from now on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I in my mind I sort of imagine them like kind of stiff and they'd make sort of that noise and that kind of thing and how awful that is. Everybody got to have a sense of what that's like. But I think there's a huge variance. Like when I see people wearing something that is literally tight all over, that I would rather die. I mean, even not on a day like today where I feel like I do. And it's like, am I doing something wrong? Are they doing something wrong? No,
Yeah.
neither of us is doing something wrong. There's just this variance in how people feel
Yeah.
in anything, and that's
Yeah.
okay. But
Yeah.
I don't think we talk about that enough. And it always comes down to this discussion about like weight. And I really, again, this third time I'm sort of circling back and emphasizing for our listeners, that's not what I'm talking about. It can be, But it's not the whole picture. And especially for women in this culture, we get a lot of that. What scares me now is there has been so much work done on body positivity, which is awesome, right? And the gender divide around that and the unfairness around that and oppression and everything else. And now we're seeing people in Hollywood, for example, using some of the weight loss injections, and
Mm-hmm.
it's clearly going towards disorder. I mean, you can see it's like, what is happening to that person? To me, it's more validating of how the pressure's still there,
Yeah.
still operating. There's a lot of people that are working hard to combat that, but the underlying message is still there. So that's a huge iceberg over here, and then there's just the iceberg of how you feel, right? My wife and I would talk about this a lot, especially when we were relatively first together. I'd say like the first 5 years or so, where you kind of clarify. I'm not saying that I feel that I'm fat or I'm overweight. It's just that I can't even stand my own skin. And I really liked that we did that because it was sort of slicing the pie into smaller pieces and getting at the nuance of what the feeling was, which is
Yeah.
so important. But
Yeah.
when you name it out there, sometimes someone just comes in and says, "Oh, you look fine," or it's like it's not about a look thing; it's how I feel. I can't
Yeah.
emphasize that enough, right?
Yes.
It's like having a pebble in your shoe, right? But you can't take it out; it has to stay in there, at least
Yeah.
for a while, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think
And it
that the
hijacks
takeaway,
everything. You can't concentrate, right?
no, because it
Yeah.
takes up a lot of bandwidth, and I'm sure that
Mhm.
people that have sensory related issues,
Mhm.
probably say this all the time. Like it's
Yeah.
manual. I have to manually regulate auditory input. I have to manually
Mhm.
regulate how my skin feels, period. I have to manually
Yeah.
regulate temperature, whatever
Yeah.
this is, right? And again, it's like, how can we keep encouraging people to know themselves so
Mhm.
that they can meet their needs? To not
Yeah.
say, "Why am I like this? Why does this always happen to me? Why?" Like I hear
Yeah.
that a lot, which is
Yes.
just unfortunately just not a very productive place to
Mhm.
be, even though I get it. I get that there's an anger and a frustration
Yes.
with this. And it's really about, how do we help people meet the moment? Like, what is it that you need
Yeah.
at this in this moment, without question? Just like without
Yes.
question,
Exactly. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
And I think what's great is, like, when I saw Dana, I'll share my own observations. Dana and I, she comes on. Dana and I always talk and warm up and catch up with life
Mhm.
and everything before we hit the record button. But the first thing
Mhm.
I see is that she's in a hoodie, which is
Yeah.
really, in the years now, in the few years that
Yeah.
Dana and I have met
Yeah.
very consistently, I've never seen Dana in anything but her uniform. What I would call
Yeah.
her
The
uniform. It's a
sweater and
button-down
the yeah,
shirt. Yep, with a
exactly. Yeah.
sweater.
That's right.
That's Dana's
Yeah.
uniform. This is the first time I've
Yeah.
ever seen Dana in a hoodie, or not her uniform, is what I'll say.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's funny, before I even had a chance to even ask her, Dana's like, "Oh my god, I'm in a hoodie today. I just couldn't." And I'm like,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
so fine. Like, of course.
Yeah.
And so, I'm so glad though, Dana, that you're able to do that and be like, "You know what? Yeah, we're
Yeah.
taping a podcast today. And this is what I
Yeah.
need in this moment, so that I'm just
Yeah.
not thinking about this while we're taping this podcast," which would then really remove
Exactly.
your kind of
Yeah.
authenticity during our conversation.
Yeah, yeah, and it's a great topic to talk about. So, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
it
I'm just
really
thinking of
is.
like like my wife and I'll say we feel like the Michelin Man, or just
Oh, me
walking
too.
down the stairs and we'll do this boom, 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 boom.
I know. You know what it is? How I describe myself to my family is Aunt Marge from Harry Potter at the dinner table.
Oh, yes,
She
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
blows
Oh
up, and
God,
then she
yeah, yeah,
floats
yeah.
out the window. I'm like, "Oh my god, I like feel like Aunt Marge." I just feel like Aunt
That's great. And just to be like seen and acknowledged in that regard,
I
and just
know.
take the societal judgments off it, but just
Yeah.
see the person in them saying, "I feel
Oh, I
like
just
I
feel
can't stand.
awful.
Yeah, I just want to rip my skin off." Yeah, it's a thing. Yeah, for
It's
sure.
such a thing. It's
Yeah,
and
yeah,
and that I think as you get older, you have less and less control over how
Yeah.
quickly, how fast, like how much,
Mhm,
how
mhm.
little, like your
Yeah,
body is going to
yeah,
do what it's going to do. You know what I
yeah,
mean? And
exactly.
so
That's right.
to also let
Yeah.
go of some of that, um,
Yeah, yeah,
which is
yeah. You're not
really
doing it
calling on,
wrong.
yeah, and to really call on
Mhm.
like to tolerance, distress tolerance,
Yes, that's right. Exactly.
which is
Yeah.
so
For
fucking
yourself and
overrated.
other
No
people that
kidding.
are feeling it too. What's that? What'd you
I
say?
said it's so overrated.
Yeah.
It is not overrated. I'm being sarcastic only because
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
such
yeah,
an important skill, but man, is it
yeah,
not
yeah,
fun.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think, I when I went through perimenopause and then into menopause, it really made me a believer in the power of hormones on your mood and how you feel.
Mhm.
I was awestruck at how I'd have an emotion 1 minute and then 5 minutes later I'd be fine, right? And if you think about, all of us have had that dream where you're in school and you have no clothing on and no one
Oh yeah.
seems to be knowing what's going on, but you feel it's like this universal. That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I can't possibly be out in public because I just feel like this nakedness to me, and people are. Ugh. So it's not about, don't soothe someone who's feeling that with, oh, you look fine, or it's fine, or don't worry about it, or whatever. We talk about this over and over on this podcast. What do you need? I
What do you
need to
need?
wear loose clothing today and try not to leave the house.
Don't What
Yeah,
do you need, and don't question it.
yeah,
Like,
exactly. Yeah.
don't doubt it, don't question it. Just be like, just meet
Mhm.
yourself in the moment. Meet
Yeah,
yourself in the
exactly.
moment. And
Yeah.
I know that sounds simple, but I also
Mhm.
understand that it's not always easy.
Yeah, yeah.
Some people don't want to meet themselves in the moment because there's this weird admittance, like there's this weird idea of like, then I have to accept how I am.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, and I have to like it. I have to not be having a hard time with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It sort of
Which,
makes me think too with neurodivergent folks, there's a lot of misdiagnosis of ARFID, if you know that, with that, the avoidant food restriction, especially with kids.
yeah.
And I do think a lot of it underneath is what we're talking about now, like a certain food, whether it's feels texture-wise when you're eating it a certain way, and it can make your body feel a certain way. And I think, by the time kids are mobile and moving around, I think they probably have a pretty good idea of how certain things hit them, and that not rush to like eating disorder, right?
Yeah.
I think that that's the other sort of extreme in our culture. Finding that just listening, having the place and safety to talk it through enough to name it and really try to learn a little bit more about what it is, what that feeling is. Yeah,
Yeah.
especially for
Yeah.
women, it's so important. Yeah,
Sensory
yeah.
issues are real, everyone. They're
Yes. Oh my God.
invisible.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
invisible in the sense that
To
you
other
don't necessarily,
people. Yeah.
to other people, but they are very real.
That's
And
right.
so
Yeah.
let's pay attention and let's,
Hmm.
meet ourselves in the moment and be compassionate and
Hmm.
understanding even with ourselves, right? Like
Yeah.
let's make
Yeah.
sure we do that as well.
Exactly.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
on that note, what a wonderful segue to be good to you. Be good to you,
Yeah.
be good to others, and we will catch you in the next episode. Bye, everyone.